So thanks everybody for joining. This is the AutoCAD user interface tour. It's a beginner level customization, but it may apply to folks who've been using AutoCAD for a while and those who may want a refresher. So just a little bit of background information about myself. I'm on the tech support team here at ATG, and I've been here, I started in 2006 in the Autodesk world with CADsoft. And then, of course, ATG took over CADsoft in about 2017. So I'm going to do a mix of a slideshow and an AutoCAD demo. So this is a quick slide with a preview of the user interface in AutoCAD 2021. And we're going to cover things like, just the ribbon, tabs, panels, the application menu, quick access toolbar, menu bar, status bar. We'll talk about the options menu and docking and auto hiding windows, workspaces, CUI editor, and how to make backups. And this is about who can benefit from the webinar, and I kind of talked about this a little bit. New AutoCAD users, of course, existing users who haven't used it in a while, and also AutoCAD users who just want a refresher on basic customization and some of the terminology. So I wanted to point out we have a more advanced CUI customization class on our YouTube page. ATG USA has an awesome YouTube page, which you can see here on the slide. We are constantly updating it with lots of information, and I'm sure you all know about that since you registered for this one. This is just about why users customize. It's just to have it look and feel the way you're used to, especially if you're used to older releases or, a certain way of doing things. You want to have all your buttons and menus at your fingertips, and you want it to look the way you're used to, basically. And AutoCAD is highly customizable. So that's what we're really getting into here, is how to save space on the screen, how to utilize your company standards, how to switch between multiple user interfaces. So for instance, a lot of people don't know AutoCAD architecture is AutoCAD with more. So anything you can do in architecture, you can do in AutoCAD, and all the AutoCAD commands work in architecture. The biggest difference is the way the ribbon looks when you open it, and you can make your AutoCAD architecture ribbon look like AutoCAD. That way you can switch back and forth between the two from one program. And that same thing goes for Civil 3D and Map 3D as well. So anything with AutoCAD in the name has AutoCAD plus more. And then some people like to do this to bring back AutoCAD Classic. These are for the folks who've been using AutoCAD a long time and they just want their menu bar. So we'll talk a little bit about the ribbon. There's a shot of where it's at. And I'm going to pull up AutoCAD now. Oh, all right. Looks like I closed it unexpectedly last time. So I'm just going to start a new drawing here. And here is the ribbon. Up here, you've got your draw panel, modify, annotation, layers, etc. So these are the panels. Draw, modify, and then these are the tabs: home, insert, annotate, parametric, etc. So that is the ribbon, and you can customize the ribbon. One easy way is by right-clicking it in a blank space. And you've got your tool palette groups in here. If you put a check mark next to it, any one of these, it will pull up the tool palette. Or put it into the interface for you. Ribbon tabs, you can see the check marks here. So you can add tabs or remove tabs. And the panels we talked about, you can also remove those. So it's all fairly easy to do with a right click. Docking means you're snapping it into place on the user interface. So if you undock something, you can actually move it around. Oh, that needs a minute. So yeah, I undocked it. Now it looks completely different. And there is a way to get the ribbon back. And of course, I lost it. So I'm going to pull up AutoCAD architecture. Plus, I probably should have pulled that up anyway because I want to show you how you can switch between them. Oh, here's my ribbon. It went off screen. So you can see it here. It's just kind of floating in space now. The properties here, there's an allow docking button. And there's also an auto hide. And allow docking just lets you snap it into place, kind of like what you see over here with my drawing recovery manager. So I'm going to put my ribbon back. So what you do is you grab the bar where it says the name of the user interface element, and you just drag it where you want it to be, and you'll see a ghost box kind of show up. And when it does that, you can just release it, and it should snap it into place. So there's my ribbon. But architecture's up now too, and I did want to show you some stuff in AutoCAD architecture. So let's grab that. You'll notice it looks a little different because of the docking that has been done. So here's the architecture ribbon. You've got build panel on your home tab, and that has walls, doors, windows, and all of that good stuff. And then again, you've got your right click menu right in here. This little gear icon lets you switch your workspace between AutoCAD and architecture, for instance. I just haven't put the AutoCAD workspace into architecture 21 yet, so we can actually go over that when we talk about the CUI menu in a little bit. So anyway, that's just a little bit about the ribbon. And we talked about panels and tabs. Next is the application menu. And that is the AutoCAD icon button in the upper left-hand corner. You can see it's got a little red box around it. And here's the different buttons that you'll find in the application menu. And this is a pretty important menu. You can start a new drawing or project. You can open existing drawings from web and mobile. You can also bring in other types of files this way. Save is pretty self-explanatory. You've also got save as, and you can save it to web and mobile drawing, and you can create templates from it. Here's your import and export. And then, of course, you've got publishing and printing as well. Drawing utilities are pretty awesome. They've been adding more with each release here, it seems like. DWG Compare is pretty awesome. You already saw Recover in my AutoCAD interface. So that is the application menu. The quick access toolbar, it's customizable. It's at the top of your AutoCAD interface, and you can put your favorite buttons up there. And this just shows in the red box, you can see the quick access toolbar, and you can see how to customize it. So hopping back over here, this is the quick access toolbar, and you'll see this down button up here. This lets you customize it. And you'll see the familiar check marks. And if you see what you want up here, just check it, and you'll notice it shows up at the top there. And this is the workspace switching, which is also down here in this little gear. But it's nice to have it up here because this one shows the name up here without clicking of what interface you're in. This one you have to click it to see. So I like to do that. And then I always save my workspace. There's a command WS save, and you can pick the name and hit save to replace it. There's also a system variable that will let you automatically save workspace changes, but you may or may not want to do that depending on, you know, if you're a CAD manager or just a user, and if you have company standards, that type of thing. But anyway, if you don't see what you want to add, you can say more commands, and it will pull up a customized user interface box, and you can search through the commands here. You can use the drop down to kind of filter and sort, or you can also search. So let's say I wanted hatch. You just type what you want in there, and then you can highlight it and then say OK. I didn't see it add to it though. Let's put publish. Go publish drawing. Huh, it's not putting it up there, and it's not letting me drag and drop it. I thought it was a drag and drop, but it's not doing it. And it's not a right click. Well, I guess we'll just move on from that particular one. This definitely works. I'm just not sure why it's not working at the moment. You could also do it here where you type publish or whatever your command is, and you'll notice that you're in architecture and this is your customization file, your main customization file. And you could open the quick access toolbar with the plus sign, and you could drag it and drop it that way and then publish. You can drag it to the bottom if you wanted it to be at the bottom, or leave it kind of toward the top, and then apply and OK. AutoCAD is kind of funny that way. There's a bunch of different ways of doing the same thing, and so this is just one of the ways. So if it fights you a little bit, there's usually another way of going about it. But anyway, there's my button on my quick access toolbar. So let's go ahead and move on from that one. This is all about the menu bar. And this is the original menu bar found in older AutoCAD releases before the ribbon. And here's the default menu bar buttons. And this is a little preview of what AutoCAD Classic looks like. I guess we'll go back into AutoCAD for that particular one. Okay. Menu bar. In the quick access toolbar drop down here, there's a show menu bar that you can pick, and there you have your menu bar. And this is now a pull down menu system, just like in the old classic AutoCAD. And you could customize it further to remove the ribbon. There's also this button here that lets you, basically it lets you minimize and maximize your ribbon. And if you click it, you'll cycle through the options. So you'll see here now the draw panel is now a little pop-out window. So it just saves a little bit of space on the screen. So I'm going to click it again. Now it's a lot more like AutoCAD Classic, but I still have my ribbon options here. So this, in my opinion, is the best of both worlds for people who are used to AutoCAD Classic, because it doesn't take up a ton of real estate to have your menu up here, but it lets you kind of start to get used to it while having access to your classic menu bar. So there's the various options with this button. And that's a lot more, this bottom photo here is a lot more like what AutoCAD Classic would have looked like. You've got toolbars up here that are customizable, and then you've got your menu bar. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the status bar. This one is semi-customizable. It's in the lower right-hand corner of AutoCAD. You can see it right there with the red box around it. And how to customize it is with the 3 dashes. We call it the hamburger menu or the pancake stack. It's the lowest right corner of AutoCAD. And the reason I say it's semi-customizable is because you get a certain set of options to choose from, and you can toggle them on and off, but you can't add commands and other things to it like you can with the quick access toolbar. So back over in AutoCAD architecture, here's what I'm talking about. If you click this little button, you can now see the various options in here, and you can see check marks next to the things that I have checked. So coordinates I just unchecked, and you can see it disappeared from the bar. If I put it back, it shows back up. If you hover over these, it tells you what they are. But sometimes if you don't want to hover, you could also uncheck something and see what disappears. So anyway, I remove coordinates usually, just personally. It takes up a lot of real estate down here, and that's space that I may want to free up for my layout tabs. So paper space tabs. So yeah, you can customize the status bar fairly quickly with this menu. And this is that options menu. This is inside the application menu. And you can also get to it with a right click in a blank space of AutoCAD, the drawing area, or you can type the command options. And these are just a couple of screenshots of what it looks like. I'll show you in the actual program. And these are about the tabs. So I'm going to go to my application menu, and I'm going to click options. And I get a dialog box. At the top of this, it tells me what profile, AutoCAD profile I'm in, which is helpful, especially for troubleshooting. Here's the Profiles tab where you can create your own profiles and export. And you can also switch between the various profiles. The Files tab is really important. This is where you tell AutoCAD how to find your support files. So things like hatch patterns and all your printer, PC3s, your CTBs. So basically you have to put those files into the folder that you specify, and then you have to make sure AutoCAD knows where to find it. Customization files is another important one. The main customization file, we looked at that a little bit when we were adding to the quick access toolbar. The main customization file, it's a CUIX file, and this one's called ACA. And this file holds all of the combination of buttons that you've seen so far. So this file is what remembers all of these customizations. So you have to tell AutoCAD where to find it. Trusted locations is good for adding list routines and third-party applications that need to get loaded. And support files, that just, it's got a ton of stuff. It's got fonts and pretty much everything else that you might need for CAD to work customized. There's also a toolbar or tool palettes file locations that are pretty important if your company uses tool palettes. You've also got some other options in here too. I don't want to go over that too much because this is about customizing AutoCAD. We have actually I did another webinar about all of this stuff, how to back up your settings and all of that. So I don't want to get into that too much. But if we go to the display tab, you'll notice we've got a bunch of options here. You've got a dark and a light theme. You've got options for your crosshair size, fade control. This colors is really cool. This lets you change the background color or the grid lines or any kind of color you might want in various views. So if I'm in 2D model space, I might want to see it one way. Or if I'm in, paper space, maybe I want it to be white in the background, or maybe you want it dark in the background. So you can say paper background and pick a different color. And so that's really nice to know about. And then once you've got all of that dialed in, you would just hit apply and close. So I'm going to cancel that. And fonts. So that's display. You've got open and save options, what format you want to save to automatically when you hit the Q save, or even the save as. It defaults the DWG format at the bottom that you pick here. And 2018 is still the current format for 2021. You've got some other options about XREF and opening and saving files. Here's your plot and publish. You can pick your default printer here. These are the PC3 files that I mentioned. So obviously take some time on your own, look through your options menu, and take a look at the possibilities in here. If you see these buttons, you can click it to get to additional menus. So you might want to take a look through those as well. Right-click customization options. That's pretty handy. Line weight settings. Block editor settings. So you can kind of read through some of these. Here's drafting. Auto snap settings are in here, which are really important. 3D modeling settings. Selection settings. This is about how you select things on the screen, how you group things on the screen. Size of your grips and pick boxes. We already looked at the profiles. Here's the AEC editor, AEC content, and so forth. Now, the regular AutoCAD doesn't have all of these options. It is a little more limited. Like I said, architecture is like AutoCAD, but a little more advanced. Now, this time I'm going to type options. I'm in AutoCAD, vanilla AutoCAD. So I typed options and I hit enter. And here's my options for AutoCAD. And you can see it has less, but at least you still have the profiles tab, which is really helpful. A little bit about profiles. They store everything that's in this options menu. So it's really important to save your profile. So let's say I've spent a bunch of time getting all my options set up right. I'm going to go to the Profiles tab, and I want to make my own profile. So I'm going to say Add to List, and I'll call it AutoCAD 2021 Angela. And that makes a new profile based on all the option settings as of the moment when I click that. So then I'll do Set Current. And now you'll see I've got my own profile here at the top, and I'll say OK. Quick little thing. If I right-click my startup icon and I go into the properties of it, there's this target field that sometimes calls up an AutoCAD profile. And the out of the box will call up the Imperial profile if you click Imperial, or Global if you pick Global, Metric if you click Metric. And you can see it right here. There's a P switch. Now, if I wanted AutoCAD if I wanted it to call up my profile, I put my profile name in here. But if I wanted to call up the last profile that was current when I closed it last, then I'm just going to take out the profile switch. And I do this for most people on help desk, because they'll wonder why their options keep getting reset, and it's because their profile keeps getting switched based on the icon that they're using. And it is by design. Some people might want to have a different icon for different settings. So you might want to launch, one icon over another based on the type of job that you're working on. So anyway, I just removed the P switch. I'm going to hit apply and continue and OK. And so now I know that anytime I open AutoCAD, it's going to call up my custom profile. So that's the options menu and profiles. I already kind of talked a little bit about docking and auto hide. It just saves space on the screen for drafting and modeling. And you can see examples of various configurations that I have. And this is about how to dock and auto hide. And so I'm going to switch right back over to AutoCAD. And there's a settings button. Let me pull up my properties palette. I just hit properties, enter, or typed properties, enter, and there it is. Here's that settings button. And then you can allow docking, and you can also auto hide from here. There's auto hide as well. You can see what it does. So here I'm going to dock my properties palette to the right side. So I just click and hold, and then wait till I see the ghost image. Oh, there it is. Oop. And there it is. And if I have auto hide turned on, it'll just collapse. So there is docking and auto hiding. Let's say you wanted it docked so it didn't move around, but you don't want it to auto hide. Just turn off auto hide and it'll be there at all times. But most people like to auto hide just so they have more room for modeling. So that is about docking and auto hiding. You can do that with your command line as well. I can close some of these with the X. So yeah, you can really put whatever you want over there. You can just have fun with it, and like say I want XREF over there. Oops. XREF. There it goes. So why don't I put that over on the left side now? Auto hide and allow docking. And release when it's in the spot. Okay, so there's an example of docking and auto hide. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat window. Now we're going to talk a little bit about workspaces. And we covered that just a little bit earlier. I showed you how to put the switcher on your quick access toolbar and how to find it in the status bar as well. And I think I got ahead of myself because I don't have a ton more to add on that. Oh, I guess I could show you how to put AutoCAD into the AutoCAD interface into architecture now. It's kind of a good segue into that because we're going to talk about the CUI editor. This is that advanced user interface customization that I mentioned. We have a whole webinar. Kyle Davis did an excellent webinar about this. The CUIX file I mentioned stores all of these settings, everything on the user interface, all of your buttons and menus. You can type the command CUI, or you can click on the workspace gear icon in the status bar and click Customize. So going back here into architecture, AutoCAD architecture, here is the gear icon, and here's the customize button. So I clicked it, and you see customize user interface. You've got the customize tab at the top, and you've got the transfer tab. The customize tab is like what we saw earlier when I added to the quick access toolbar. It had just this left-hand side of the panel. So it looks exactly the same as what we already saw earlier. The transfer tab lets you move menus and buttons between CUIX files. So if you remember, the CUIX stores all of your buttons and your ribbon and your visual configuration that way, toolbars. So what I'll do to bring AutoCAD into architecture is I'm going to open the AutoCAD CUIX in the left panel. And I happen to know that's in my app data, roaming Autodesk. AutoCAD 21. Took me a second to find that. Support. Okay. This is the main support files location where a lot of your stuff gets stored, and you tell, this is set in the Files tab to look in here. I'm going to look for AutoCAD. There it is, AutoCAD CUIX. So I'm going to open it, and you can see all the different AutoCAD workspaces that come with AutoCAD. Then on the right panel, I'm going to open my main customization file that I specified in the options menu. And you can see for workspaces, I just have architecture, which you also saw up here. So what I'm going to do is grab this drafting and annotation. I can drag and drop it if I want, or I can right-click, copy, and right-click and paste. And then I can rename once I get it over there. So I'm going to just call this AutoCAD drafting. And this 3D modeling, I'll call this one AutoCAD 3D modeling. And then here's architecture. So then I'll hit apply. And now I have more workspaces to choose from in the gear icon on the status bar, or in the gear icon up here on the quick access toolbar. And watch the ribbon when I switch. So we're on architecture right now. We'll go over to AutoCAD drafting. And you can see it changed to the AutoCAD interface. And then we can switch back. My little workspace switcher went away because I haven't saved that to the AutoCAD workspace. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Workspace, and then WS save. AutoCAD drafting, save, and replace. So now if I switch back and forth, okay, here's 3D modeling, AutoCAD. And you've got things like extrusion and other options there. And we'll look at workspace save one more time, just because it's important to save your workspaces as you make changes. So that way if you come in one day and everything's missing, you can easily get it back. As long as your options menu files tab is looking at the right customization file, right here, ACA, and there's that support folder that we looked at. All right, we've already looked at that, and we looked at the transfer tab. This is all about backups. I know this is a bit of an eye chart, so we're just going to cover this together in the actual software. But I will have this in the handouts. So what we'll do, and I just want to show, backups are a good idea because if anything ever goes missing or doesn't look right, you can easily bring all of your customizations back in. This kind of ties in with the workspace save a little bit, saving your workspace to your CUIX file. But I'm going to go a little bit further and talk about just making a backup package for AutoCAD. So what I'll do first is I'm going to pull up my Windows File Explorer. I got the dark theme, might look a little different. So what I'll do is wherever I want to save, let's just, I'll just put it right on my D drive. I'm going to go New Folder, and I'll call it AutoCAD Backups. And then I'm going to copy the roaming folder and paste it into there. So I'll do File, New Window. And I'm going to go to my App Data, Roaming, Autodesk folder. All right. Actually, I'm just going to grab the whole AutoCAD 21 folder, actually. So right-click, copy, or Control-C, and then I'll paste it into my AutoCAD Backups folder. Okay. Then you want to copy your local folder. App Data, Local, Autodesk, AutoCAD 21. Copy. I'm going to go into my folder and I'm going to rename this one to Roaming because they have the same folder name. And I want to be able to distinguish them later. Roaming has a lot more than local. So there's my local and my roaming. I can rename the local if I want. Okay. Then we're going to go export a profile. So I'm going to go into the options menu and profiles tab. And I'll do it again. I'll show you how to create a new profile and how to export it. So I'm going to start by saying add to list. I'll call this ACA 2021 Angela. Puts it in the list, and then I'll highlight it, and I'll click export. Then what I need to do is find my backups folder. And I'm going to give it a name. It's an ARG file, ACA 2021 Angela. I'll set it current. Apply and OK. So that is how you back up your profile. And remember, the profile stores everything in the options menu, which is extremely important for your customizations to work on multiple levels. All right. Then we're going to look at the main customization file. That's also in the options menu. Files tab, customization files, main. So now you'll see I've got a folder location here. I just double clicked it and it pulled it right up. But what you want to do is just observe the path and the file name. And you're going to go copy that file and paste it into your backup folder. So it was the app data roaming, Autodesk. AutoCAD 21. Oh, and you know what? We already copied this folder, and ACA is already in there. It is in here somewhere. Oh no, I copied AutoCAD, not AutoCAD Architecture. Yeah, so let's go get Architecture. That's in the ACA 2021 folder. And I can do the same thing where I just grab the whole thing, or I can just copy the file, or I can do both. If you copy the file though, you want to grab all of the related files with that same name. And I can just put that in my backup folder. So I can either paste it right in here, which is what I'm going to do, or again, you can grab the whole folder for Architecture. It just depends on your situation as far as how far you want to go with these backups. I just wanted to show you everything. And I like having a complete backup package. You never know when you may need these files, and it's good to have options. And these manual methods with these files are the only way to bring in customizations to other flavors of AutoCAD. So it's important to know about it. Okay, so then you want to copy the program files folder that has a DLL file that matches your AutoCAD ACAD. So I will go into Program Files. And then it's going to be under Autodesk. AutoCAD 2021. Oh, you know what? They don't have it in here for 21. So if you're using 20 and earlier, this is important. With 2021, not as much. So here's my AutoCAD 2020 folder. And there's the ACAD, one of the ACAD files. So, okay, I'm going to skip this step because it's not pertinent to 21. My apologies. Although a lot of people are still using 20 and earlier, so it's good for those folks to know. The CUIX and the DLL files, you can rename them if you'd like to help you distinguish them later. But if you do that, you have to remember to rename them all. So if one's called ACA, you want to make sure you rename your MNR with that same verbiage. So in this case, I'm going to pick a different one so I'm not overwriting my main. Like this one, I would rename it. You can call it really whatever you want, but then just make sure all the like ones get named that same thing. And I just undid that. But in this case, I would be doing both of them. Actually, that's a hatch pattern, so I wouldn't do that one in a line type. But basically with CUIX, MNRs, and DLLs, you want to make sure they match. All right, now in the Start menu, you also have an Export option. So here's my Start menu, finding my AutoCAD 21 folder. And here's an Export AutoCAD 21 settings. Oh, and it's telling me you have to close AutoCAD before you can do it. All right, AutoCAD 21, export. It thinks it's still running. Must be Architecture also, because again, Architecture is built on top of AutoCAD. Okay, third time's the charm. It still thinks it's running, so I'll go into my task manager and make sure it's not. I'm not seeing it, so maybe it just needed a minute to close it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it just needed a minute. Windows needed a minute to close them. So now this is going to give me my export dialog box. Just hit export. It's going to ask you where you want to save it. So you find your backups folder, and you can leave the name the same and hit save. And then it's going to tell me my migration package has been successfully saved. So there's that. You can use that to import. So in that same folder, there's an import button. And if you click it, it'll ask you to find your zip file, which is here. And if I hit open, it'll bring that in. It only works if it's the same product and release year. So that's why I showed you the manual backup steps and talked about that stuff, because you may want to bring, say, AutoCAD stuff into Plant 3D, and you can't do it with this automatic wizard. There is a migrate from a previous release, which is really nice. If you say AutoCAD 18 is customized, I just put 21 on here. The first time I open it, this migration will pop up, but if I skip through it the first time, you can go back and launch that from in the Start menu. And that lets you pick from your settings based on your older releases on the machine. So you can see templates, plot files, CUI, my user profile, etc. So you just check what you want to check and then hit the check mark when you're ready to do it. I'm going to cancel that. I just wanted to show it real quick. Okay, and the final thing that you can do, and again, I'm showing you all the backup steps. You don't necessarily have to do all of these, but it's good to know about. In the registry, it saves all of your settings as well. It's in the HKey current user, software, Autodesk, AutoCAD, and R24 is the 2021. And this right here, this key, you can see has a ton of stuff under it. So what I'll do is I'll export that particular key. These are all the different flavors of AutoCAD, the 4.1 numbers. So I will go with just this one, export, find my backup folder. And this it doesn't matter what you name this, because it's going to remember where it goes just by a double click. So save. Some IT managers like to do it this way to migrate their company standards between machines. So I'll go to my backups folder. Here's the registry key. All I would have to do to import my AutoCAD settings is just double click this registry key. So that's, and IT managers can move this between machines. They can put this file on the network somewhere and then go onto the other machine and copy it from the network, paste it onto the C or D, the local drive of the destination machine, and then double click it, and that'll just put all those settings in. Or you can also import a zip if it's the same product and release year. And if it's not the same product and or release year, then you have to rely on these backups here. And basically what you would do is just basically copy and paste the files where you want them in the support folder of the, the one that you want to bring those settings into. So that's a little bit about backups. I guess that went on a little longer than some of it, but it's really important. It's a good disaster recovery plan. It's a good idea to have that backup folder. You never know when you might need it. So now I know everything that I've done in my options menu and my CUIX file. All of that is stored, and all of my hatch patterns and printers and plot styles are saved as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box. I see that Brian Allen has a question. How to make a menu? Can you cover how to make a menu button to change the style of a surface? The style of a surface. That sounds like Civil 3D. So let's see. Let me pull up Civil 3D. I've never tried this before, Brian, so I'll go on this journey with you here, or maybe you'll go on the journey with me. Okay. So this is my tool space in Civil 3D. I was going to go to maybe one of these and see what right-click options I have. It's not letting me drag and drop, but I could go into the CUI and look for commands related to that. Maybe surface. See if it has anything about surface styles. Edit surface style. Okay, I think that's what you're asking about, a menu button to change the style of a surface. So you can really put it wherever you want it. Let's see. Well, it will let me copy. Depends on where you want it. If you have a toolbar that you want to put it on, you can open the toolbar and then paste it onto it. And you'll see it added it right there. And then hit apply. Or you can also, like say I want it on my quick access toolbar. That's a pretty easy way to find it. I can paste it right onto that and apply. And OK. And here's my edit surface style button. It wants me to select the surface, and I don't have any in this file to show you the command, but you've probably seen the command before if you're asking the question. But yeah, basically the CUI menu will let you find commands down here, and then you can just copy and paste them to your customization file through that. And you can also bring that up with this button here on the quick access toolbar, more commands. And here's that same, this is the left-hand panel of the customization or the CUI. Is there a way to add the color drop-down box to the quick access toolbar? Brian, thanks for that question. Is there a way to add the color drop-down box to the quick access toolbar? Color. Brian, can you elaborate a little bit more about what colors you're looking to edit? And I'll type color in here. So here's what we have for color in Civil 3D. Let's go back into AutoCAD, see if we get more options there. Because I was just kind of seeing civil stuff in there. The current color, line type, layer, etc. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. So with that one, I would pull up my layer property manager, and I might want to dock it maybe by my properties. And then I'll auto hide, kind of cool. So there's my layer property manager. I might put the layer. I might put the layer command up on the quick access toolbar. Here it is. It's actually in the menu there. So I've got a line, and it's white because that layer is white. If I had a new layer in here that was, let's just go pink. I'll pick pink and OK. And now if I want this to be pink instead, I can select it, change the layer. A color drop down. Colors are dependent on, like, basically, I'm not 100% sure I understand your question at this point, but like I'll do a line of text here. So you can change the color by layer, or you can also change it this way. So let's see, what button is this? I'm going to hover. I'm in a command though, so it might not. Oh, that was contextual. I might want to get back to you on this one, Brian. I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what you're asking, so we can get just a little bit more specifics. And if I don't know the answer, I'll research it or ask a coworker, and I'll give you that answer. So I do have your name, and I will find your contact info, and I'll call you after the webinar, and we can talk through it. Yeah, just don't want to take up everybody's time trying to figure it out, and I don't entirely understand specifics. So, all right, are there any other questions? It's funny that both questions came from Brian's. All right, well, I think that's all I got for you then. I just wanted to say thank you for your time. And Brian, I will be in touch with you to talk about your color question. We'll get you an answer. Where there's a will, there's a way in AutoCAD. So we'll get to the bottom of it for you. Okay, well, thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Happy holidays, and take care of yourselves. Be safe.